Sharpies with our show that's about 30 minutes early today. Sorry about that. Joy is traveling, and I've got some things that I need to do. So we want to pull you all into a tight hour of programming on the topics that we've had today. Immunity denied, Anthony Turner on In the Heezy. And first up, so glad to see that you guys followed us into our earlier half hour. I'm Tom Cunningham.
I am Joy Stevens. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited. Happy Black History Month and happy. Wait a minute.
Hey, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. She's prepping, y'all. She got the 50 preps. Congratulations.
Thank you. I plan to start telling everybody what I think all the time. I'm going to go to church and put little lace doilies on people's knees. I'm waiting for the next sorority event so I can get a scooter and run over folks' toes. I'm about to be a menace out in these streets. It's going to be so great.
She's 50. I don't know if you all remember the SNL sketch.
I do. I actually did that today in a class I was teaching because somebody brought it up and I high kicked. I'm going to feel that tomorrow. But I did it.
And stretch and kick. She really, what was it, Molly O'Malley or
Sally O'Malley?
Sally O'Malley. She looked a bit more than 50, honestly.
I mean.
But yes, we know, Anthony. We know.
February rules. It's the dawning of the age of Aquarius.
It is the dawning of the age of Aquarius.
Mm-hmm.
Age of Aquarius.
You know what else is the dawning of?
What?
A reckoning. I am so excited about what I'm seeing. Now, do I think everything's going to go perfectly? Absolutely not. But I'm loving what I'm seeing. As the title has said, immunity denied.
Denied.
He tried it. Like, they say, oh, that's cute. You tried it. He did. And he found out very soon. This ain't what you want, bro.
That ain't what you want either.
Mm.
He looks like he dove head first into a vat of atomized Cheeto dust and pink eye.
That's definitely pink eye. Literally pink eye.
The pank.
You know what? Roomy. That's what it looks like rheumatism when they say roomy eyes.
Oh, yeah, roomy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what his eyes look like.
RHEUMY.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening, Sadita. And welcome to Steel
Anthony,
Sharp.
You're actually wrong about this. We are not celebrating all month long. I am turning.
Oh,
need I remind you? 50. I am celebrating until I turn 51. This is a year-long cycle. Celebration around the sun is what I'm doing.
Yeah, when I turned 50, I went back for homecoming and I branded it Home Cunningham.
Oh my goodness.
And I had a list of things that I wanted to do in my return to the yard, because we have these steps that if you're walking from the back of the campus, like where Jake Gaither Auditorium gym is, and you're walking up to where the library is, the main common area, which is the highest point on campus. These were the Death March steps. And good Lord, if you were pledging and you was trying to get away from the big brothers and you encountered those steps, it was a commitment to get up them damn steps. But I marched up all the steps. I got some chicken fingers from Guthrie's, which is the homemade chicken finger spot in Tallahassee. I was trying to get a quart from Shingles, which was the place in Tallahassee, a Black family-owned restaurant. The daughter actually worked for FAMU. But after I pledged and it's on the way, or it's in the direction of the frat house, so you could go. They had the coldest quarts, not even 40s, the coldest quarts of beer in North Florida. And you get it out the freezer case in the front of the stove and you crack it and the little ice crystals would just come up to the top. When I tell you sublime, I'm not even a person who loves beer, and it wasn't even great beer. It was like Schlitz, maybe Colt 45. It wasn't like
nothing Colt 45.
Listen, don't let the smooth taste fool you. But it was ice cold, and you take that quart in a paper bag, walk up to the frat house and sit on the frat house porch. Ooh. Yeah, it is radioactive.
That is the song. Radioactive. That's the song that came to mind when I saw it.
Absolutely. Yeah. He looks like he's passing alpha particles straight out of the screen into you, decaying your flesh and damaging your internal organs. So
he's not the Hulk, he's the bulk.
He's the bulk.
Yes.
The Sulk. Sulk smash. Plates of burgers and ketchup onto the wall.
Smashed these burgers. Yep. Oh, so my goodness.
We do have a show. We have an actual show to talk about. And among the topics that we're talking about, we're leading off, as we usually do, with Trump trouble. And it has not been a good week for Cheeto Dust and Pink Eye. It just has not. One of the biggest things that turned out to be a challenge. One of the biggest things, this is something we've been waiting on. The Third Circuit has been debating whether or not, as asserted by Trump's lawyer, the one who's not Alina Habba, who sounds like the voiceover actor for Bane in The Dark Knight Returns to Orange. He sounds ridiculous. And he was making his presentations. This is the lawyer who, when offered by Justice Pan, would it be possible for him to order the assassination of a political rival with SEAL Team 6 and for him not to be criminally prosecuted? Well, if he wasn't impeached, we're saying that didn't. And she was like, so what you're saying is that he can get away with murder, and he's the only person in the country who can absolutely get away with murder. And he's like, what we're saying is that, okay, but there is no absolute immunity, because if he had been impeached because of it, you're saying he could be prosecuted. So the immunity is not absolute, right? Which led to this. Trump not immune from prosecution, the DC Court Circuit rules.
Now, and let's look at the panel here. Let's look at this loveliness. This is literally his worst nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
It's a pylon. 3 women.
Yeah.
2 of which are women of color, all of which are probably circling, late 40s to early 60s.
Right.
And give 0 F's about him whatsoever.
At all. One appointed by H.W. Bush. So that gives you, Judge Henderson was appointed by H.W. Bush. So that gives you an idea of how old she is, how long she's been serving.
She's giving.
Judge Childs and Pan were both nominated by Biden.
Your girl on the left is giving Downton Abbey, though.
Oh, just
like bit. Dame Maggie.
Yeah, it wasn't a great situation for him. Now, if you're wondering what the next steps are, these ladies, first of all, they rendered their decision as the court. There were no dissents. It wasn't like Pan says this and Sister Girl says this and Henderson says this. It was presented as the consensus of the court. 57 pages, and they put a timer on it. So they said, if you're going to assert that you want to advance this to the Supreme Court, you have until the 12th, which is Monday. If you don't, it goes back to Chutkan, and Chutkan can proceed. If he were to try to get en banc, which is the entire 11-judge panel, given the forcefulness and the legal integrity of the writ or the ruling that they said, very slender chance that the court would even touch it. And there's perhaps a slender chance that SCOTUS will even touch it, because SCOTUS doesn't have to take it up. If they decide they don't want to take it up, then their decision stands. And they appear to be very hesitant to put their thumb on the scale either way, as far as trying to tilt things. And so it would just mean that, look, he did some stuff. He's been accused of it. A jury has found him
guilty.
So here we are. What you gonna do?
And honestly, the best thing that SCOTUS can do is to stay out of it.
Out of it.
Yeah, I'm not with him.
Because Jack Smith gave them a chance to issue a writ of certiorari, and they chose not to. So if you chose not to, knowing that you could have done it, now it's been a month since you had the chance.
The thing about that is that shows you the duplicity. Well, I don't know if duplicity is the right word, but it shows you what people are really thinking. They can play this game all they want until they get where they want to be, and then they sober up. Like, yo, so that nonsense you talking, yeah, I'm not going to jeopardize my legacy and my standing and my status for your nonsense. I mean, I knew it was nonsense when I was riding your coattails into this position, but now that I'm here and you can't get me out, I'm not going to do this.
Well, to your point, Joy, that's a very interesting take, because they do have their ideological predispositions.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not leaning toward protecting Trump.
Right.
Even Coney Barrett and Gorsuch and Kavanaugh helped to eliminate Roe v.
Wade. That's what what
Amy was there for. That was her thing.
Yeah.
So it's not like a surprise.
She was Manchurian candidate for that, for real. Like,
absolutely.
A woman, surely a woman won't.
Candidate, because everybody knew what the hell she was trying to do from jump.
Yeah.
There was no sneak attack.
But that is a broad ideological stance. Like, a good half, if not more, percentage of the United States is like, yeah, they're not going to sully their name off an idea like that. But following the devil into hell, yeah, we can cite you for that. Yeah, and ruin your legacy.
Mm-hmm. And they have not supported him specifically if it doesn't have anything to do with an actual conservative agenda of things that they are concerned with, like gutting affirmative action, gutting voting rights, all these sorts of things. Trump pretends not to care about any of that, except in the tangential sense that by gutting voting rights, it increases the likelihood of his victory. Although he thinks there's plenty of the blacks that want to vote for him. So it's an interesting mix. They are not riding for him. They're not Scalito and Thomas, or Scalia. Alito. Scalia's dead. Alito and Thomas, who are also sycophants, in addition to being ideologically rigid and disingenuous.
And Thomas, he about to fuck around and find out too. He's gonna keep it up, and they're going to have no choice
but to get him out,
but to remove him just for the sanctity of the office.
Absolutely.
And when they do, because it's just a matter of when, they're gonna be like, look what this black man did while he was in here. You know that's how it's gonna go. Even though we disavowed him decades ago.
Oh, decades. Before he got to the bench.
Yeah.
He was done. Wasn't nobody sweating him at all. His corny ass.
Yes.
So that was the big news. And whether or not SCOTUS is going to take it up, SCOTUS also was taking up today in 2+ hours of oral presentations about the Colorado remove. Why are you bowing your head?
I'm over here being a dirty old lady.
So the Colorado case where the state of Colorado wanted to remove Trump from the primary ballot, finally SCOTUS heard that almost off rip. They were not feeling the arguments. It was pretty clear that they were not going to end up riding. They haven't issued an opinion yet, but there's less than a 1% chance that they are going to remove him from the ballot, because at the very least, if they do that for Colorado, it would basically validate the other 10 or 11 states that were trying to do it. Right. And they're not trying to get him off the primary ballot. The Republican Party doesn't even care. The Republican Party tried to shut down all the primaries anyway. So they want him, and they're going to push to do whatever they want to get him.
But it's a domino decision, because if they support Colorado, there go all the others. If they don't, there go all the others. It's exactly. Going to be an all or nothing thing.
Yeah, he's going to be on the ballot, and
this is where it gets sticky, because if the Supreme Court upholds Colorado's decision, Trump will have people attack the Supreme Court.
Oh, listen.
They stole the election from me.
I completely understand why they don't want to take this stand where insurrection has yet to be adjudicated. If he were convicted of insurrection, then I think the opportunity is to take him off of the main ballot. Of course, by that time, by July, the Republican National Convention, then it's going to be dogs and cats living together, pandemonium. It's
mass hysteria.
Yep. Mass hysteria. So I get it. And they don't want to be perceived as really eliminating a popular choice of, just under 50% of the eligible voting population. So I get it. I don't agree, but if you at least choose not to weigh in on presidential immunity, I think we're good.
Mm-hmm.
That would be fair. That would be equitable. Let the process take its place, and we'll move on from there.
Yeah. But let the process take its place is the important part.
Exactly.
Due process. That's how we're supposed to operate as a country. We're supposed to have a system that everybody is beholden to adjudicate such things. And all of the SCOTUS system, which has honestly been the way we've been cheating as a country with the system since we put it in place. It was always for other folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now the chickens are coming home to roost yet again. He is a monster of their making. He is the personification of every dastardly decision that has been made in the United States since we became the United States. It culminates in him.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. It's insanity that it has gotten to this point. I never would have believed, and we've gotten to the point where Tim Scott and his gums are literally lying about statistics of Black employment, naked, easily verifiable lies with the same statistics that everybody uses. There aren't two sets of facts on the employment rate. The employment rate is documented by the government. Those are the only statistics that anybody uses. And he tried to say that Black levels of unemployment were less under the Trump administration than at any other time in history, which is bullshit. As an aside, when Reagan was in office, 21.2% Black unemployment.
That's why we hated Reagan.
And under Biden, 5.3. Never been above 6. Mm-hmm. And I think the highest point of Trump, which may not have been during the pandemic or whatever, it was like at 14%. So, I mean, that's just a dumb lie. And one imagines that all the exercise that his lips are getting from moving over those elephantine gums might cause them to shrink a little or tighten up, be firm. He might have lip abs or something, labs, because
Did
of
you
all
say
that.
He had labia?
No, labs, lip abs, from going over the gums so much. Mm-hmm. No, I would never say. How is that different?
No, I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, I was about to say
labs.
Labs. The second thing that was a big critical hit for him was that in the E. Jean Carroll, Alina Habba tried to get a mistrial declared in the E. Jean Carroll case. And Judge Kaplan was like, this motion doesn't even make sense. You're trying to say she deleted emails of death threats, and that's deleting evidence. However, the reduction of evidence actually inures benefit to your client because there was less negative impact presented as evidence in court. That helped him. And you knew about this for a year. You knew that the emails had been deleted. You never tried to recover the emails. And so you wait until, no, that's right. You wait until near the end of the adjudication, not of the truthfulness of the facts. We've already done that. The prior estoppel, all that stuff. This was just to try to establish what the damages are going to be, and you try to say it's a mistrial because she deleted evidence.
Somebody, I wish I had sent it to you to upload, but somebody had the caption said, "Judge trying to figure out what's her name again?
Alina Habba.
Judge trying to figure out what Habba is doing," and they had that clip from America's Next Top Model of the dude with the.
We were rooting for you.
We weren't rooting for you
at all. We absolutely were not rooting for you ever.
No,
like, never, ever at all.
I read an article this morning about how much money Trump potentially is going to owe, and it might very well be more than he actually has in liquid assets.
So you are Queen Segue, my half centenarian slice of melanin deliciousness. So the challenge is that he has stated in court proceedings, in a deposition, that he's got $400 million liquid cash. And that's not bad for a developer, he says. So that means most of his stuff is tied up in real estate holdings, some of which he would have to, spiral off piecemeal. Mar-a-Lago is a big thing. he can't get rid of Trump Tower. That would absolutely gut him. He can't sell his penthouse because Melania is still there.
Is she though?
Well, in 21,000 fewer square feet than it was alleged. More on that later. Put a pin in it. So what they're saying is that Engoron has hinted that the original $250 million was way too low. And then the number of $370 million came out. $370 million plus 83.3 plus 5. He already had to put the 5 in escrow, which raises a different question. Why didn't he put a bond down? Is he not bondable? So if he has to put the 83 million, if he can't get a bond for the 83 million, because if he tries to appeal that ruling, he's got to set the money aside. He can't use that money to fund the appeal when the appeal could go against him. And so he'd have to, he's got interest on top of that,
Yeah.
So he's got to set that aside. If he can't bond it, if he can't put the 8.3 million down, now he put 5 million down, he had to put that in escrow. That's an escrow. That's not a bond. Mm-hmm. He has to put 8.3 million down, which is, 10% is usually whatever. If he has to put that down, or maybe he has to put 20% down because
his credit is bad.
His credit is cretaceous. So if he has to put up the 83, that's basically $90 million you've had to set to the side out of your 400 million liquid. Now
that's a quarter of your money.
A quota. Now you've got 300 million, but you've got a looming judgment potentially at 370 or more. So now you're technically in a cash deficit.
You ain't got it, though.
You ain't got it.
You just pulling out moss and mint.
Right. You're out of cash. Gotta pay a half.
So I dig into my pocket. All my money is spent. I dig deeper, but still coming up with lint. So I start my mission trying to be president.
Literally.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that the question has now become, is the super PAC going to pay some of these legal fees?
And now we come back around to people not following him on his nonsense. It's all fun and games until you want money. And the super PAC is like, bruh, hang up the phone. Don't talk. They hiding in the house like Jehovah's Witnesses. Like, no, tell him we ain't here.
But is it not true that if the campaign pays such a sizable amount of money for the personal business of the beneficiary of the PAC, doesn't it have to be included as income?
Yes, it does.
So that would be taxable at 400. Let's say $400 million or 500. I don't even know if he has that much cash on hand in the PAC, to be honest. Right. That's a lot of money. It's 49%. That's the usual math you put on there. I don't know if it would be taxed in Florida. Florida doesn't have a state income tax, so you would avoid that. So
let's call it in New York.
Well, it would depend, I guess, right? Because this is a New York case, and he still has significant. The company has significant holdings there. Mm-hmm. So now you've got to pay $200 million on taxes, even though your friends bailed you out. And since this is a tax fraud liability case, it ain't gonna be no chicanery, because what also happened this week is that Weiselberg, the former CFO of Trump, is trying to arrange a plea on perjury.
And he got receipts. If he's trying to plea, it's because he got something he want to talk about.
And supposedly he's not trying to roll over on Trump. The perjury is centered, as I understand it, it's centered on one particular statement of fact, which was a lie, which was that he didn't have anything to do with the valuation of the size of the penthouse apartment, escalating it to 33,000 square feet from 11,000 square feet. He's claimed that he didn't have anything to do with that. It has now come to light in terms of testimony that in fact he did, and so he has perjured himself, and so he's trying to plea to avoid this, and But that injures him as a witness. And when you're dealing with this, what Engoron is trying to figure out, plus the special monitor, another retired judge who was assigned to look over the books and try to figure out what was going on in Trump world and where the money was and all these other sorts of things, she has found significant irregularities. So in addition to the fact that Letitia James has kicked ass and proven her case and all this, and Goran and Alina Habba is an absolute idiot who did not request a jury trial when she should have. I mean, honestly, she should have, but she didn't. And so they just left it to this judge, and Trump attacked the judge's clerk, and Trump legitimately defamed the clerk, saying that she was a lover of
Trump is a T-Rex. He just through everything with no account to himself, and he needs to be extinct like the rest of his brethren.
Well, I mean, it's not looking great.
The other part of it is he can't find anyone to secure him a lot of credit because everybody knows he doesn't pay. And he stiffs not just employees, but banks.
And the banks.
You stiff banks, not Nair Bank, especially in light of all the other things that go along with supporting him. No national bank or international bank is going to loan you money because they all know you're crazy. You are a risk. And even though you are not any of the other factors that they normally like to play with, you're not Black, you're not a woman, you're not second language, English speaker, whatever. You are higher risk than all of those put together because you've proven time and again that you don't pay. And now you're asking for money in a fraud case? Bro.
Rudy Giuliani is suing not Trump. He's suing the RNC for not paying his legal bills, even though all of the legal bills were a result of representing Trump.
You know, and Sadida says Jared and Ivana got his back. No, they don't. As much as they could have it, but they don't. No, they would like to. They'll visit him in jail like dutiful children.
They are not going to give him a quarter of that $2 billion.
And Putin ain't answering the phone.
Putin doesn't care.
Putin never liked him. Putin just saw a tool that he could use, and he used it.
Well,
and when you're done using a tool, you put it back in the shed.
Well, he's using a different tool now, Tucker Carlson. That interview that he did, he's so proud that he went over to Russia to be used as a puppet. And he's putting the excerpts or the full interview supposedly on tuckercarlson.com and also on X because he's so pleased that Putin sat down with him.
Whatever, fuck Tucker.
A dictator, a megalomaniac who's invaded a sovereign country. And for some reason, Tucker Carlson, heir to the a frozen vegetable fortune, Swanson, is a booster. The scion of American capitalism is a booster for post-communist Russia.
How did we get here?
Putin's not supposed to be here.
If you think about that, like just if we really do ask the question, how did we get here? It's like I said a few minutes ago, this is the culmination of 400 years of fucking around. And we have found out at different times over the course of the history of this country since before it was formed, going back to the 1600s. We continue to find out. We continue to realize we probably shouldn't have done that. We learn nothing. We tweak how we approach the same thing using the same ideas. You know, we just repaint it. It's no longer candy apple red. It is now rouge. It's the same thing. And we do it again and we get burned again. And then we start over, learning nothing. Now, that is, we'll call it mainstream America. Black people, y'all need to learn from this and understand how to build your own power because your oppressor will never give you the tools to free yourself from oppression. And us trying to take it just ends in bloodshed. We got to figure out something else. But we can't stay here. Yeah. Not in this current iteration.
No, not at all. Not at all.
74%.
Yeah, sure. But see, here's the thing that most rank and file American voters don't really think about. Very few, the president signs bills, right? The president doesn't produce legislation. The president can champion legislation. The president can use the bully pulpit to whip up support for legislation, but the president doesn't craft legislation. Now, in this new Republican Party whom Trump cult, it is possible that he may send legislation at least to the House and try to get the House to do things. Not that he could actually craft it. He might pass on some legislation from the Federalist Society or something like that.
Right.
He doesn't have the brains to do any of it. But if they can get him to rubber stamp it and then pass it on to Johnson, that would be a sort of symbiotic, twisted, incestuous, horrible
circle jerk is the word you're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. So that could happen. But in general, it doesn't work that way, which is why we are stuck with the situation where the Senate had a bipartisan piece of border legislation, a laundry list of gifts to the Republican Party in terms of border security, because the Democrats desperately wanted Ukraine support, to a lesser extent, Israel support, and humanitarian support for the Palestinians. They wanted those things. The GOP said, you're not going to get it unless we get border security. Months and months and months of wrangling. Representative Langford championing it. Kirsten Sinema on our side, on the independent side, and then another Democrat who were working on it, whipping it up. McConnell was behind it, not the least of which reasons is because in this bill, a lot of the foreign aid to Ukraine ends up coming back to the United States because Ukraine buys its armaments from us. So it's literally recycling.
Didn't I just say circle jerk? I wasn't kidding.
No, it's spending money in your community. It's reseeding. You give them $10 billion. They send you $9 billion back to buy guns that you send to them. And so McConnell was like, look, I got gun manufacturers in my state. This is great.
Yeah.
We really want to see this money come back to us. I think it's a great bill. But Trump gets on the horn with Johnson. This is horrible. Johnson hasn't even read it. But he says before he's read it, he thinks it's the most awful bill ever. Bloopty blop, all of that. And so it tanks. Now, today, the Senate is taking up a funding bill that doesn't include border stuff, and they're going to vote that. They canceled the border stuff that they wanted, and now it's a clean bill just of the money to support our foreign interests. And I don't know if Trump dares to tank it. He could tank it when it was border. He can't tank it for Bibi.
No.
And you have enough Christian fundamentalists on the House side who are not going to want to say no to Jesus. So you're probably going to get over the hump because the Democrats wanted the support anyway. They got their 215 votes. You only need 2 defectors. So maybe a New York person, they got that special election coming for Santos. And maybe I'd like Chan, somebody who likes to check us on our math. If a Democrat is elected to replace Santos, how many more seats, and we presume that McCarthy's seat is going to be filled by another Republican because it's a blood red district. How many seats would need to flip in order for my Sands, Spring 89's Hakeem Jeffries to be named Speaker of the House? How many more seats need to flip sides? Because Santos is great. We're going to probably pick up the Santos thing. That rep is in trouble. But if how many more special elections would it take? Can we ride this out until the fall, into November, when Democrats might actually retake control of the House?
I'm trying to find it now, but of course, every article wants to give their piece. I'm going to say 3.
Okay. So we need 3 in order to really flip it.
Mm-hmm.
But thanks to the rules that the Republicans put in at the top of this Congress, it only takes one person to call a vote.
Once again, monster of their own making.
Of their own making. And if the Democrats take control of the House, you're out of gas, baby. It's all done, baby. All done.
Mm-hmm.
So even if Trump
were elected, got to hold it out. Like I said, if things don't go our way and and the devil prevails, and we discover that Trump is weaseling his way back into the White House, we got to go. All of us. I will see y'all in another country. But if he doesn't, and we end up with Democratic control of the House and potentially even the Senate and the presidency. We got the trifecta. We could actually affect change in this country for once if they can get along long enough to do it.
Well, the trick is that we're definitely not ever going to have the supermajority that Obama had briefly for like a 2-month window, an actual physical supermajority, if you include the independents that caucused with us, where we were able to get Obamacare done and everything else.
That was a window, literally a window of opportunity. Yep.
Right. We're not going to have the supermajority. If we hold the Senate, it will probably be 50-50 or maybe 51-49. It's not going to be the stacked deck. Now, if we win the White House and we win the House, I think you'll have some of these Republicans who have been willing to play a little ball to
try to do stuff for their state,
try to do stuff for their state, try to do stuff for the country, because they realize that Trump is done.
Yeah.
Even if Trumpism isn't done, Trump is done. And when Trump is done, then Trumpism will eventually die. And the senators, you know, McConnell was reelected in 2022. And I can't imagine he's going to run again when he's up. He's barely hanging on now.
I can't imagine he's going to walk again.
Well, and he's lost, like Johnson, both the minority leader in the Senate, McConnell, who used to have an iron grip on everybody in his caucus, and Johnson, who is proving to be a bit feckless because he's out here just saying nonsense. People know it's a lie. And as we're talking about lies, because we're in minute 40 now, and I definitely want to get on to some other stories. One of the lies that burned Fox News on its ass is a report that actually put truth to the lie of the failure of Bidenomics. Let's take a look at this one.
We're waiting on the jobs numbers, where we're expecting 180,000 jobs created in the month of January, and the unemployment rate to tick higher. You got the numbers?
Wow.
All right, let's get right to Cheryl.
And this is something. 353,000 non-farm jobs. I had to seriously double check this, guys.
353,000 jobs added in the first month of the year. Unemployment stays at 3.7%. What a blowout report.
On the economy, the U.S. adding a surprisingly strong 353,000 jobs last month. Unemployment stays at 3.7%.
No one expected the jobs number coming at 350,000 jobs. Unemployment 3.7%. Wages up year over year 4.4%. I've been calling this for a long time, but this is Goldilocks. This is as good as it gets, and we already know inflation's coming down, which means purchasing power is going to go up this year. Consumers are going to have money to spend.
I love how they're leading into Dark Brandon. It is creepy as hell, but
it's so creepy. I can't believe they took a chance on a live report like that, and then they had to ride with it because you said it.
You said, well, it's Bartiromo. And she's between Jeanine Pirro and Maria Bartiromo, they are like
they
worst
don't care.
Trump shills. They, and she was ready. Oh, I've got the numbers. Oh, okay, tell us. 112 jobs. 12 jobs were added in January. 12 plus 353,000.
Yeah, I'm surprised she wasn't like it, because she was already in the momentum, and that train came crashing in. Yeah, let's just talk about it. It's only 353,000 jobs. What do? You can't just say never mind. You got to rock with it.
You 1984 it and say, 353,000 sounds like a big number, but actually we were thinking it was going to be 453,000 jobs. So
right.
It's really
Don't give them ideas. Don't give them any help. Somebody watches this show and gets ideas from us. Oh, wait, Vera, this is exactly how you handle it. See, what had happened was
inflation went down. And companies actually started booming, and so jobs and stuff, things happening. Non-farm jobs. Real
money
jobs.
Dollar jobs. Yes.
Yeah. Dollars, bills,
y'all.
Jobs.
Moving on.
And while we were on the topic of, I kind of inserted the Fox News thing there, but I did want to kind of wrap this up in a bow. We were talking about the border crisis bill that was tanked by the GOP. One of the other things the GOP tried to do, Speaker Johnson tried to do and failed spectacularly, was to get a vote on the impeachment of Department of Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas. And they really thought, because this is simple majority, the House is simple majority, they really thought that they had marshaled their forces and they were going to be able to impeach this guy, because obviously they wanted Biden, but as Raskin and some other people have said, there's no there there. And since you want some sort of impeachment win, you want to be able to put the word impeachment in a headline, you go after Mayorkas and you trump up these, no pun intended, these charges. You try to say they're high crimes and misdemeanors. Ken Buck came out pretty early to say, nah, this is only the second person we're even talking about impeaching in the history of cabinet secretaries. And you're trying, these are not high crimes. These are not misdemeanors. This is nothing. This is, you do not have, this is a dangerous path you're headed on. And he tried to say, I'm sure the Democrats would try to do it back to us, which of course they wouldn't, because again, second time in 150 years. So no, the Democrats aren't trying to use political weapons in this way. They're trying to protect the republic, is what they're trying to do.
Trying to save us from ourselves, generally.
So simple majority, but the challenge is you lost Kevin McCarthy, you ejected George Santos, Steve Scalise was undergoing cancer treatment. So you were 3 votes down. Ken Buck from Colorado and another brave soul, I want to say it was from California, but they were hard-nosed on impeachment. And so the Democrats needed their entire, you're cheating. So the Democrats needed all of their people. Al Green was undergoing treatment in a hospital. Hakeem Jeffries, spring 89, Hakeem Jeffries said, can I send an Uber? She can slide your ass up to the, can we
meet me at the back door at 7:30.
And so they snuck him into the Capitol. You're right, Sadina, we got that too. They snuck him into the Capitol, kept him in a space. Marjorie Taylor Greene and the little Oompa Loompas are running around trying to marshal their votes, trying to figure out what the vote count is. And here he comes in his wheelchair.
Right, coming through like the old king on House of Dragons. Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Al.
And he cat daddied in his wheelchair. And it was 5:15 to 5:15. And in the aftermath, the people are like, oh, well, he pulled his little tricks and da-da-da-da-da. And this is what my Sands had to say. It's not our responsibility to help the GOP count votes. Go on 5.
Wow.
And by the way, he is not wearing a Travis Kelce. That is just a fade. To all of you colonizer appropriators who think Travis Kelce is the next Rachel Green from Friends from 20 years ago, and everybody wanted that uneven little cut and stuff.
He did put on
Travis Kelce, at least, who used to date only black women before Tay-Tay, he came right out. Was like,
I mean, Taylor always going after what black women already had. So
exactly. I didn't invent that, but if you want a fade, you got that number 2 on the side. And he said, I can tell you where to go get a fade now if that's what you want. But I didn't invent it. Literally headlines talking about Travis Kelce has the most popular hairstyle, but It is a fade.
And now this is the problem with cultural appropriation. I don't knock Travis for his hairstyle because he just did what he wanted to do, and because he knew the sisters like it. He probably been wearing his hair like that for a minute. But all the people that decided to make it a thing, and specifically make it something some white guy invented, he didn't ask to be named the inventor of this hairstyle. They just gave him credit for it. And then who do they go to? White barbers to get a fade that black barbers have been doing for 3 generations at this point, if not ever. They didn't run up. They didn't ask him where he got it done. Because I promise you a black barber did that the first time at least.
Oh, for sure.
You know, and they didn't say, oh, he didn't, and he was even trying to tell you it's black hairstyle. I mean, you get the number 2, like that number 2, number 4, whatever.
Yeah,
they didn't follow.
You're looking on the wall to figure out which hair you want. I'll take that. And that's what he ended up with. It's
just like the people that said the Kardashians invented boxer braids, or Bo Derek with cornrows back in the 80s, right? They've been stealing this. Matter of fact, Michael Harriot, first of all, is Black History Month. If you have not bought it yet, I strongly encourage and highly endorse the book Black AF History by Michael Harriot. It is my favorite thing I have read in the last 5 years. I am a fan of this book. Matter of fact, sometimes I want to be telling people, stop hiring me. Just read this book and you'll be done. But
she didn't say that.
Keep hiring me because I can talk about it. But he just put out an article on the griot because he still rocks with them. And it talks about the top 8 things that white people have invented. And Kelsey is on there. It's an interesting article. He's so crazy with it that the griot disavowed him. They were like, we just want y'all to know this is his opinion and not ours. This is an editorial opinion piece. Please we don't want no smoke. Give that all to him.
But the fact that white media, just like you said, the Kardashians with the braids and old white lady who said she invented bonnets.
Silk bonnets, yeah, girl, please.
If you don't.
And then all the TikTokers said they invented
a bonnet.
All the TikTokers that said they invented slugging, which is putting Vaseline on your feet and putting socks on. We've been doing that. We've been using shea butter and cocoa butter.
While we're on the topic of stuff that Black people are often denied credit for, let's take a look at this beautiful bean footage.
It is the future. And by the way, Black people have always created the future. We created jazz. We created hip hop. We created rock and roll. We created all these things. And there are people who believe that we don't see ourselves in the future. But we have always seen ourselves in the future, whether it's Octavia Butler or Sam Delaney or any of these people. My husband said to our studio executive who told us that Black people don't see themselves in the future, so they wouldn't like science fiction. And he said, no, that's not true. You're not absolutely wrong. Will Smith is the #1 science fiction star in the world. But also he said, the path for Blacks, the past is painful, the present precarious, but the future is free. We always see ourselves in the future. Your future that you're living in is because Black people imagined it. And he said, you're welcome.
I know that's right.
You're welcome.
You know you muted yourself, right? Tom? Let's help Tom out because he's just talking up a storm over here. There you go. Tom?
What?
You had muted yourself.
Have I?
Yeah, you just stayed running.
Oh, sorry about that. I was saying Black people had seen themselves in the future ever since 1967 when Lieutenant Uhura was the chief communications officer for the USS Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
We were in the future.
But it's a good point. Everybody's like, oh, if I could go back in time to... No. I don't do none of that.
Forward.
The only way I would go back in time is if I went back to the coast of Africa and said, don't do this. Let's go ahead and figure out how to keep them off this coast forever.
Yeah, I need y'all to go back behind that tree line. Let's pretend like nobody lives here. And if they do come on, let's send some alligators out to bite their legs off so they don't want to come here.
Send in the lions.
Yeah, instead of the Gold Coast, it'll be the white people got their ankles bitten coast and full of alligators and crocodiles and things.
This is the deepest thing this is the deepest comment we've had. Like hands down, seeing ourselves in the future got us through enslavement. That is perfection right there. This is what hope. That's what hope is. Hope is seeing a future, right?
I am the hope and the dream of the slave. So this is where we are as a country and where we are headed as we are careening ever forward. It looks like Alvin Bragg is going to have the Stormy Daniels hush money payment trial. That's still on track. Nothing has upset that. Engoron's judgment, his initial ruling of damages is expected. It was expected by the end of the month. We're 2 weeks into February right now. It would be a hell of a Valentine's gift if on Tuesday, next Tuesday, he comes in and says, "Gotcha, bitch." That would be outstanding. And if Chutkan's trial gets put back on, she had to eliminate the March 4th date. She's concerned that as things get pushed back, she has some other obligations that she has to deal with. But if it can get back on track and it can start in April, there's a chance that we'll be able to get it done before the election. And anybody who thinks that it won't matter at all that Donald Trump has been convicted a month before the election, I give you Hillary Clinton and her emails. If you don't think that James Comey instigating ass.
He has freely admitted that he fucked that up.
Oh,
he has said his wife told him, "The fuck are you doing?" His wife was like, "Don't do this." He's like, "No, it's my duty. You messing up. I'm gonna do it." And then he did it, and he was like, "I should have listened to you." She's like, "Told you should have listened to me." I think he was sleeping on the couch for a good month and a half.
At least good month.
He might still be on the couch for all I know.
And then he got fired.
Right? By the very person that he inadvertently assisted. But the only difference that people might want to point to between Hillary and her emails and Dump and his followers is that they don't care what he does, but they are not the only ones that vote for him. We're not talking about moving a Trumpist away from him. We're talking about some of the rhinos, people who didn't want to vote for Biden, people who are on the fence. There is a large middle.
Suburban, college-educated white women.
Mm-hmm.
That $83 million, them chicks and the daughters they're concerned about, because we have said it on the show, but the quiet part that is not yet said out loud is these suburban women whose daughters are dating Black football players don't want the right of abortion taken away. Let's be clear. They ain't trying to have them little caramel macchiato babies run around the house.
Why they gotta be caramel macchiato? I mean,
because they mixed.
Yeah. And we both in here blending into the background, so yeah.
If trust and believe, that is a right that they want to be able to hold for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones who are in those states where Christian majorities have been able to enact legislative agendas, they don't want it.
And this is not new. Like, this is the same discussion that was had around the ending of miscegenation laws of, well, what is little darky babies running all around here? We can't get rid of abortion because we need to make sure that we don't let our soiled doves, they need to weigh out, etc. But we are so, for what it's worth, I know that we kind of side-eye a lot of the ads and a lot of the marketing that is out there right now because they use a lot of people that look like me. You know, loose wave curly hair, fairish, not fair is a terrible word, beige skin, ethnically, racially ambiguous. I could be anything. And they keep putting that out there. And a lot of Black people are like, how come we don't see more Black faces? But if you think about it, those ads are not really for us. It is to give us a little bit of lip service. Like, here, we put some people of color in it. But also, this is the face that white people are comfortable with and are not surprised when they see at their family reunion. Mm-hmm. This is the face of slow burn. You know, the boil and the frog, right? You don't realize it until everybody is brownish, right? And in the 50s and the 60s, aside from lynching everybody, they were trying really hard to stop mixed race couples from having children, or from even getting together in the first place.
I don't want to touch it now because it would take us well over, but I'm inviting everybody who watches the show, take a friend and go see Origin before it's out of the theaters.
Yes.
You need to go see Origin. And at the top of the movie, there's a couple of things that Ava DuVernay does, which is really impressive. One of the things she does is she says, stick around after the movie. I have a Q&A. And she goes through, it's not a Q&A because obviously nobody's answering her, but she takes questions that she has heard and she answers them for the audience. So if you thought, there's a particular segment in the film about this young Black boy named Al Bright back in the 50s that is heartrending. And so I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to get into it. But go see the movie. If you go see the movie, she has a QR code at the end. If there are people who can't afford a ticket, you can buy a ticket for them. And then they are giving free tickets to organizations that have requested free tickets to see the movie. It's well worth watching. It is not, as some people might suspect, a telling of the story of the book cast.
Because the book cast is a hard read.
It's a hard, very challenging.
It's emotionally draining.
Right.
The book.
The book
the movie is more palatable, and it's a story of the author.
The author.
Yeah.
It tackles and trails her journey. It's not until like literally the last 10 minutes of the movie that you get the breakdown of the book of Caste, but they use these dramatic recreations, and she highlights, like, I think it's like 4 individual stories that are kind of like main foci. So there's this black couple and this white couple who were investigating inequity in the Jim Crow, and there's this couple in Nazi Germany, a man who was in love with a Jewish woman, and then the Al Bright story, which I won't get into. And there's maybe, it feels like there's one more, but it also deals with what she is going through personally and how the personal tragedies that she endures propels her to get, the Indian dude, the Dalit.
Yeah,
that's what you said. And so it uses these snatches historically to tie together the threads. So as the theses are coming together in her mind, these are the different little pieces that calls her into creating this book. So she had written one book, and this is her second book. And so it tracks that journey. And it really is, I mean, it's Anjanou Ellis first and foremost. It's her movie.
The Anjanou Ellis.
Yeah. But because she chose to present the content of Caste in a narrative structure that allows you to embrace the life of this woman embodied by this amazing actor, it's very affecting, and it's a wonderful movie. And so we really do hope that
I highly recommend
the opportunity to go and do it. And we'll do a show just about that.
So the next time y'all have some well-meaning, well-intentioned, and erstwhile white friends that want to know, do you have any suggestions on how I can learn more or do more? Watch this movie.
Yep.
And then read the book that the movie was based off of.
And it's interesting. One of the things that we can maybe get into when we talk about the film in depth is her choice of film stock felt very intentional. Because it's not crisp and super digital in the way that you come to expect major feature films to be.
Right.
You can see the grain. It was definitely an intentional artistic choice,
which makes it feel like a period piece almost.
And since it relies so heavily on historical context, it works. I mean, it's very effective. And she says in the Q&A, it's like it relies on fantasy and recreations and and all this other stuff. So there's this gauzy kind of emulsion over the entire thing that really brings it together in a very compelling way. And I didn't know enough about the author's life to expect where everything was going. But we want to close the show this week with, in honor of Black History Month, we want to close with some unmitigated Black joy. So Joy, I want to ask you to introduce this final piece.
What you were about to see, hypothetically, is footage of me from when I was a child. Enjoy. My favorite part was when she got a little dizzy and forgot what she was doing, and then
she just walked around. She waited for the drop.
Yep.
And she goes back into the legs.
Yes.
She killed it. Black History Month Black Girl Joy.
With a little tights on. So cute.
Black Joy. This has been a wonderful show. We have more coming throughout Black History Month, more little snatches and pieces of Black amazingness. And go ahead.
I want to give a shout out to CJ, to Sadida, to Elaine, to Vera. We see the things that you send us, and we try to put as many of them in the show as we can. So I forget who sent us what, but we've been pulling things that, articles, ideas. So thank you for helping us create content for the show. Much appreciated.
Absolutely. We really do appreciate you. We'd love to have you on. And in coming weeks, as we go through the rest of the quarter, we want to let you know we are going to be experimenting with some things on Instagram. We invite you to follow us at Steel Sharpens Show on Instagram. We're going to be putting more content. We literally have one post on there now, but we're going to be putting more posts on there. We're going to be sharing videos that we like. One of the things that we really love about this show is sharing stuff that we find informative and funny with you. And so we're going to keep doing that. We're going to push some of that content to our Instagram so that we can hopefully get some engagement. And it is possible for us to actually stream to Instagram. So drop us a message in our DMs, either at Facebook or YouTube, and let us know if you would be interested in consuming the show on Instagram or other platforms at
or
all,
TikTok.
right?
Like that's another option for us. It's not live streaming, but like using our TikTok account to put up like clips and shorts, reels.
Right.
We want to start getting into that. And don't be surprised if you don't see merch coming from us by the end of the year.
Merch.
Yeah, we're trying to be real with this thing.
We are trying to be real with this thing. And with that, I will say that I am Tom Cunningham.
And I am 50. I am Joy Stevens.
And this is Steel Sharpens Steel. Come join us next week, please.